Hi, Mr. Cravens here, College and Career Specialist at Desert Edge. You'll see me in the Career Center, and if I'm available, come on in, introduce yourself, and we can talk about careers or college, whatever's on your mind. Today, we're going to talk about one of the great features inside the Naviance program called Supermatch. And Supermatch is designed for those of you who are thinking about college after high school, but not really sure where you want to go and not even sure what you should be considering in picking the right college. And there are a few features inside Naviance to do that. Supermatch is one of them, and that's what we're going to take a look at today. So the place I'm going to have you go to get to the screen that I'm at now, you're going to go up here to colleges, this tab right here, the second one over, and you're going to scroll down to find your fit. You can see here, once I do that, there's a bunch of options on here of other ways to search colleges, but I'm going to click on Supermatch. And that brought me to this page that you saw me at already. The things we're going to take a look at to kind of sort out the colleges and find ones that are most suitable for you are location, academics, admission standards, student life across these headers on top, diversity, institution characteristics, cost, athletics, and resources. So lots of things to consider within each of those. You'll see two columns here in the middle, must have and nice to have. Once we start making some selections, they'll pop into the must have column, but we have an option to simply say, well, it's nice to have really more than it's must to have. And I can simply move it over to this other column and it'll help identify the colleges that would be good fits. Once I start entering some of the criteria, down here, it says no results yet because I haven't entered anything, but that'll start listing some colleges and it'll give me a score on how closely it fits the criteria that I've established for what I'm looking for in a college. So one of the things they're going to start with is this button here that says select criteria to start. It's going to go to location, and I can search by state or region, or I can search by distance if I just want to make sure it was only within 100 miles from home, let's just say. Um, I'm going to search by state or region, so this button is clicked. And I can simply type in a state up here, or I can come down here and I'm going to click everything on the West Coast, and it'll give me all the states up here that are on the west, west of the Rockies, if you will. And then I can sit here and say, well, I'm not planning on going to Alaska at all. Hawaii would be nice, but that's a lot of airfares and things that I know I don't want to deal with. Montana, been there, not fond of it. Wyoming, been there, not fond of it. So now I have it down to 9, and I can add, maybe I just want Arizona. I can put anything I want in that particular section, and it's cool. And then if I'm very concerned about the kind of city I'm living in, I don't want to live in a large city. So I want to live in a small city, or a suburb of a small city is fine, or a town not near any cities is okay. So all of those criteria. Again, you don't want to be too limiting, but if you don't limit it at all, you'll end up with all the colleges out there and you won't have narrowed it down at all. So after that, I'm going to go to the next item on here, and it's the academics. What degree type do I want? In most cases, we want a bachelor's degree. If you were going to a community college, you might be looking for an associate's degree or some of those others. Include online learning opportunities. So many of the colleges now offer their education online. Is that something I want to consider or not? Search the majors. Well, here I'm going to start typing in a major. You can type in one that you like. I'm going to type in nursing, and I'm going to have a whole bunch of options on here on nursing. So, family practice nurse, that sounds interesting. I'm going to do that. And let me see what else is on here under nursing. So I'm going to, you can see the cursor is right here now, right here. So I'm going to type in a second possible major, nursing, and take a look at the options up here. And I'm going to go to registered nurse. That's kind of what I'm looking for too. So those things would be cool. I can come down to here and I click this if I wanted the institutions that have all of the majors that I had listed there. I wouldn't do that at this point. You can narrow it down later in a different search if you want. If you're going to minor in something that's important to you, let's just say I want to minor in French, you can certainly enter that as well if that's important for you. So once that's done, I'm going to advance to the next topic area, and this is the admissions. And I can enter my grade point average. There might be one that's in there already for you, but I can type in my grade point average, my SAT or my ACT score. So my ACT was 22 in this case. Acceptance rate. This is the percent of students who get accepted from the number of applications that they do. Obviously, schools would have a very low acceptance rate of 25%, are not accepting a lot of the applicants that they get. So these are often the Ivy League schools and the more prestigious schools may have that. I want something that's a little more open than that. I can click more than one button, so I type between 51 and 75 and 76 or more. So it accepts at least half of the students that apply. Uh, Here's a spot for a deadline, and it doesn't really apply now. We haven't met any of the deadlines for the colleges at this point that I know of. And if it was April or May, maybe you want to make sure that that college is still accepting applications. There might be some other items on here that are important to you, that are very important to you, accepts AP credits or International Baccalaureate credits. If you have any of those, maybe that's important, maybe it's not. We'll just leave it blank, more my exercise. And I'm going to move on to the next one. One of the things that you can see is if you scroll down um, on here, I'm going to get off of this for just a second, and I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to see some colleges that are listed in here already. Linfield University, Northern Arizona University. In my case, these two are on top because I pinned them earlier. I'll show you how to do that, but I have pinned them previously. But the rest of them who have not been pinned will show up in order. So Colorado Mesa fits 100% of the criteria that I was looking for. Southern Cal, Vanguard University of Southern California, Sonoma State University, etc., all match. So you can see that. So let's go through and do a few more things. As I said before, all the items that we selected so far will show up in the must-have column. I can easily move them over to the nice-to-have column simply by clicking it over here. And my acceptance rate now moved from a must-have item to simply a nice-to-have item. So we left off, I think, on admissions. So the next one over is going to be student life. And I'm going to take a look at the options on here. Do I want a school that has a specific organization or club? I can type that in. Greek life, meaning fraternities and sororities. Do I want to make sure they have a fraternity? Or I don't want a school that has fraternities and sororities? Do I want one that offers study abroad programs? Maybe you do. I suggest those for everybody. And the last one on that list is if they have ROTC programs. Applies to some people and not everybody. Click if it's important to you to have an ROTC program at the school that you're thinking about. Next item over is going to be diversity. So you'll see some questions in here about either overall diversity or specific representation. And you can click in what percent are minority students. If I scroll down a little bit here, I've got maybe I just want to look at historically Black institutions or Hispanic serving institutions or tribals. LGBTQ and inclusive universities. I can sort them out by religious affiliation. Um, I can sort them out by women's or men's colleges. I can sort them out by what percent are male or female. That's important. A high international population. I want to get exposure to a lot of people from around the world, so I have that different perspective, or at least a number of students from out of state so I can get some perspective of what it's like to live in other parts of the country. So some cool diversity questions that you can answer in there. Institutional characteristics, and this is important. Some of these are filled in for you already. You may want to just look at community colleges. You may just want to look at four-year colleges. Uh, for my case here, I just want to look at four-year colleges, so I've unclicked the 2 years or less. How about public or private, or only show nonprofit? Public universities are financed by the states. So in Arizona, it's the University of Arizona, Arizona State, and Northern Arizona University are three public institutions. Private institution would be like Grand Canyon University, which is private. Some people don't want a school that is a for-profit institution, so they might click that. I'm okay with that. As long as it's a great school, doesn't matter to me. Um, Student body size, you can choose very large, large, mid-size, medium, small, and click all of them that apply to you. Um, Over here, the student success rate, a high graduation rate, meaning, and I can click on any of these to see what that means. On average, 33% complete a bachelor's degree within 4 years. Institutions with a 4-year graduation rate of 58% or higher are considered to have a high graduation rate. So that means that the students that enter 58% or higher have a high graduation rate. So yeah, I want to make sure I graduate. It's kind of the purpose. So that's important to me. Retention rate, if I clicked on the info button there, it would tell me that that means the number of freshmen who come back for their sophomore year. The high job placement rate, people who get jobs after they leave college. Um, we did that one down here. Average class size. You can select that or not. If it's important to you, it can be a little distorted anyway, so I'm not sure I bother with it. But I want to make sure that it has on-campus housing, that I have a place to live, so I click that button. The next one over is cost, and I can start, putting some things in here about tuition. And there's some options in here. I'm not going to go through that at this time. Athletics, if you really want to make sure they have a sport, baseball, I'm a baseball player. I want to make sure that it has that. I can click in there. Or resources, so there's a long list here, but learning differences support, academic career counseling. If any of these are important to you, click that as well. Once we're done here with those things, we're going to take a look at the things that were must-haves and nice-to-have. Is everything in the right column here? And for me, they are. I'm okay with this. And now it will start listing these schools. So there's 12 of these institutions with a fit score of 90% or above. The first ones on my list will be ones that I have pinned. I said, I'm really interested. I want to make sure that whatever I do, I take a look at those as well. And I'm looking at the list of schools down here. Azusa Pacific, I've heard of that. I'm a 98% match. I'm going to pin that one as well because I want to compare it later. So back up to the top, Linfield was still 100% match. It will tell me about academics. Students at Linfield average a 3.6 grade point average. I'm at 3.3, so a little under. ACTs, I had a 22, they're at a 21, pretty good. I can take a virtual tour of Linfield University or take a look at some photos or videos that they have. It tells me what the tuition and fees are at the school, and it says pick what to show. So here's a few things, but I can pick from admissions information, athletics, diversity, cost, highlights, institution characteristics, student life, etc. On here. So here I have the average class size, undergraduate size, etc. So I can kind of take a look and match these up and see what I think of those particular schools. So pretty cool stuff. Here's all the schools. I'm going down to the very bottom, and you'll see on here that I can look at some things by the ones that I've pinned, schools that I'm thinking about, schools that I'm certainly consider applying to, and more information here. I'm just going to take a look at the pinned ones, and I'm going to compare the pinned colleges. I can clear the list, but I'm going to compare the only the three colleges that I know I have pinned. So I have Azusa Pacific, Linfield, and Northern Arizona University. And it will give me a little bit of information about each of those, the institution highlights, the location, the academics, and I can kind of go across if you've seen these kinds of things before where you can do some comparisons, and I'm just kind of going across and I can check them all out. So that's what's available to you here on the Supermatch program to help you kind of narrow down some colleges worth your consideration and ways to check on them. We've got some other ways to do that down the road here, but thanks for doing it today. Make sure that you end up saving that search, and that will kind of check it off on the Naviance task list when you save it. But you can always go back and do additional searches by narrowing things down or expanding the list as well. I encourage you to do that. Okay, we're good for now. See you next time around.